Hello. I invite you to continue this series of calm reflections on the book Our Home by André Luiz, a spiritual account of life after death, responsibility, and the maturation of consciousness through work. Chapter 30 is titled Inheritance and Euthanasia. It is one of the most moving and at the same time one of the most difficult chapters in this part of the book. It does not speak about the work in the rectification chambers or the techniques of spiritual assistance. Instead, it touches upon very painful matters of human life: family, money, inheritance, and decisions that may hasten death. It shows how deeply our earthly choices can influence the fate of an entire family, both in the material world and in the spiritual one. During the night shift, André meets a young woman named Paulina. She has come to the colony to visit her father, who is in a very serious condition in one of the wards. Narcissa allows her to enter. She also explains to André that Paulina devotes much of her time to trying to reconcile her family. When André sees her for the first time, he notices the harmony of her presence. She is beautiful, calm, and gentle. Yet in her eyes one can see deep concern. After a moment they enter the room where her father lies. He is an elderly man in a very disturbed mental state. His face expresses anger, bitterness, and rebellion. There is no tenderness in him toward the daughter who greets him with love. His mind is completely dominated by a single feeling: hatred. The old man is convinced that he was murdered by his son Adalberto. He cannot free himself from this thought. He constantly returns to the moment of his death and accuses his son of giving him poison. Paulina tries to calm her father. She speaks gently to him about the teachings of Jesus. She reminds him that true family does not end with blood ties. In the spiritual world, we are all brothers and sisters. Earthly family experiences have one deep purpose: to teach us a love that goes beyond egoism and possession. However, the sick man is unable to accept this. His mind remains closed in anger and the desire for revenge. Paulina then describes the tragedy unfolding in their home on earth. Their mother, broken by suffering, has been placed in a psychiatric institution. The siblings are engaged in a legal battle over a vast inheritance. The family has fallen apart in an atmosphere of hatred and suspicion. All of this revolves around an estate worth 1.5 million cruzeros. A fortune that brings happiness to no one. Paulina tries to explain something very important to her father. Material wealth is not evil in itself, but it can become a source of great suffering when it becomes the goal of life. When instead of developing the spirit, a person dedicates their entire life to accumulating money and building social status, then it becomes easy to forget the most important values: work, responsibility, and raising children for a life of spiritual growth. Paulina explains that this is exactly what happened in their family. The parents dedicated their lives to increasing their wealth. The children grew up in comfort, but without responsibility. One of the daughters lived in vanity and idleness. A son abandoned his studies and fell into bad company. Adalberto did obtain a medical degree, but he did not take his profession seriously. Easy money removed everyone's motivation to grow. The most dramatic part of the story appears later. Narcissa explains something to André that deeply shocks him. Adalberto truly hastened his father's death. As a physician, he applied what was called a gentle death, euthanasia. He did it when his father was already near death. He wanted to shorten the suffering. Yet compassion was not the only motive. Behind it also stood the question of inheritance. This event triggered a chain of consequences. The father died in a state of anger and hatred. His spirit remained bound to thoughts of revenge. The family on earth plunged into conflict. The mother collapsed mentally. The children fight among themselves over money. Everyone became surrounded by an atmosphere of suffering and chaos. Narcissa ends the conversation with André with a very powerful statement. God created beings and heavens. But human beings often create their own hells. They create them from hatred, from greed, from selfishness, from the inability to forgive. Chapter 30 reveals one of the most severe lessons of this book. Material wealth is not a person's true inheritance. The true inheritance is the values we pass on to others. Love, wisdom, integrity, the ability to forgive. It also shows how great the responsibility of family life is. Family is not only a place where people live together. It is a school for the spirit. It is where we learn compassion, responsibility, and mutual respect. This chapter also touches on a very difficult subject: euthanasia. It shows that shortening life, even when it appears to be motivated by compassion, may bring serious spiritual consequences. Because the moment of death is not only a biological event. It is also a profound transition of consciousness. Chapter 30 reminds us of several very important truths. That money is not the true inheritance of the spirit. That wealth without moral values can destroy even the closest family. That hatred and the desire for revenge may bind human consciousness even after death. That decisions made at the moment of leaving physical life may have serious spiritual consequences. And finally, that the true inheritance we leave behind is not material wealth. It is love, responsibility, and the ability to forgive. This is a very powerful chapter. Not because it describes drama, but because it shows how easily a person can lose the meaning of life when money becomes more important than the development of the spirit. And it leaves us with a very simple, yet very difficult question. What inheritance do we truly leave behind? Is it only material possessions? Or values that may help others grow spiritually? In the next chapter, André Luiz will continue to discover the complex consequences of human choices in the spiritual world. The journey continues. See you soon.